Okay, you guys can go ahead and come on in. Okay, first, thank you all for coming out today. You guys made a great step in solving whatever dispute you're having right now just by showing up today. And can we start out by introducing ourselves? I'm Troy Kelleher. I'll be mediating you today.
I'm Jordan Nelson.
I'm Casey.
Okay, Jordan and Casey, nice to meet you guys. Okay, so I'm going to start out by giving my opening statement. Like I said, I'm Troy Kelleher. I don't have a law degree. I'm just a college student, and I'll be mediating both of you today. I had you both sign a voluntary agreement form that you do not have to be here, and nothing that is said here can be used in a court of law. And essentially, I want both of you to feel comfortable to say whatever it is you need to say during this mediation without fearing that anything you say will be used in litigation. I want this to be a very open conversation. We have drinks and snacks available in the other room if you need them during the mediation. Feel free to pause at any time and take a break. We have bathrooms right down the hall there. Yeah, we can take a break at any time. I encourage both of you to stay throughout the entire mediation. And the more we work together, the better dialogue we get, the better we can work towards finding a mutually beneficial solution. And I won't be the one creating the solution today. That's really up to both of you to find a solution that benefits both parties the best we can. And I think that's about it. Like I said, there are restrooms down the hall. We have snacks and drinks right there if you need it, and we can take breaks whenever. Yeah, just remember to relax and breathe throughout the process, and we'll keep this clean environment. Please, no swearing, and also we'll have respect at all times, no interrupting each other. And if tempers do flare, we might take a break for things to cool down. And again, I encourage neither one of you to leave the mediation at any time unless it's for a short break. Okay, and that's my opening statement. And I'd like both of you to tell me your sides of the story, and I will give both of you time to speak. If neither one of you could interrupt the other, that would be great. And Jordan, we'll start with you. Can you tell me your side of the situation?
Well, I recently just moved back to Naperville from Colorado, where I was doing grad school, and I got employed by an agricultural science department, and I'm doing research in the area. And one of my old professors from North Central, when I was doing my undergrad here, offered to let me stay at his house for, a little less than what he was paying for rent while he was on a 2-year sabbatical.
Okay.
And, his only stipulation was, just keep the house clean and make sure that the yard is up to code.
Okay.
And Casey here has been, looking in the windows, and, he's been kind of snooping around the house. It's really creeping me out.
Okay. Okay. And is Casey your neighbor then?
Yes.
Okay.
Casey's my neighbor.
Okay. Okay. Great. And Casey, can you tell me what's been going on?
Well, the reason I've been snooping around is because Jordan's been having parties. It's every single night almost parties with, I work at the
It's not
school.
every night.
I work
It's like
at the
Friday.
school. I work at the
Just
school and I
like
see
Fridays.
underage.
Just a minute, please. We did agree when we first started this that we weren't going to interrupt each other. So if we could allow Casey, please, to finish his opening statement, then you can have a response after that. And Casey, any response you have to what he says, you can give that after he's done talking.
Well, like I was saying, I work at the school and I see students of mine, underage students, at his parties, and
Okay.
I mean, I know that that's it's dangerous for the kids, honestly. But I've also seen things. I've seen marijuana. He grows marijuana, and that's why I've been trying to take pictures. I need some kind of evidence.
Okay. And Jordan, I think you had something to say.
I was trying to say that these parties aren't every day, as Casey pointed out, they're just Fridays. And yeah, sometimes my friends who are of age, they can bring around some questionable dates, but I don't think that there's that big of a problem with that. They may look young, but they're of age, as far as I know.
Well, as far as you know, it's probably not true, and they're probably not really overage. I don't think you check or anything. I mean, some of these kids, I know that they're underage.
And Casey, how is it that you know that they're
Like I said, I'm an adjunct professor at the college.
Okay. And are these your students that are over there?
Some of them.
Okay. And Casey, is it the noise that is bothering
Well,
you
in
about
addition
this?
to that, he's renting it from my old neighbor Tom,
Okay.
and he promised to do yard work for Tom in exchange for lower rent,
Okay.
and he's been completely disrespecting the law. I've seen him drive cars over his garden.
Okay.
I've seen cars parked in the yard, and he's not doing any of the yard work that he promised to do.
Okay. And Jordan, is it accurate that you had agreed with Tom that you would keep up the yard?
Yes, and it's an overstatement with driving the car over my garden box. His landlord built a box for the garden in the front yard, and one of my friends who got a little too drunk one night backed his car into the flower pots, and I just haven't gotten around to fixing it yet.
Okay.
But that's kind of why we started saying if you need a place to stay, just stay here. I don't have a problem with people crashing at the house.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps them off the road. Prevents drunk driving. I think it's a good idea. But as far as the yard work, just a few leaves here and there, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. And Casey, can you describe your relationship with the former neighbor Tom?
Yeah, we were really good friends. I mean, we hung out a lot, and we'd listen to music sometimes, and we'd have a good time. We had a really good relationship.
Okay. And why does it bother you that that you feel the yard isn't being maintained?
And I feel like it's disrespectful. It's Tom's giving him a lower rent, only in exchange for taking care of the yard, and he's completely disrespecting that. He's not taking care of it at all.
Okay. Okay. And what is it? I'd like to hear from both of you a possible solution for this problem at this point with the information that we currently have. Jordan, what is it you would like to see happen? I know that you said that you said before that Casey had been looking into your house and this was making you uncomfortable. What would you like to happen with that?
I just, whatever needs to be said needs to get out in the open, but I feel like he's kind of being shady about things. He's not confronting me. Every time I go up to ask why he's looking at my house, he'll either deny or he'll just leave the situation immediately.
Okay.
And I feel like, just a little, forwardness. If I need to take care of the yard better, and if it's not up to your standards, I cut the grass, I don't rake the leaves all the time, but I cut the grass and I try to keep track of things. Just, I guess we have two different standards of lawn care.
Okay. And Casey, what is it you'd like to see done?
Well,
at
I
this
think,
point?
first of all, he's growing marijuana, and that's completely unacceptable. I mean, he's got it in pots in the backyard. And, he definitely needs to get rid of that. And, on top of that, he's got to quit having parties with underage kids. It's illegal. Both those things are illegal.
Okay. And Jordan, I don't believe you addressed the marijuana issue.
Oh,
Can you-
yes. It's not marijuana. It's work. It's my job. It's not marijuana. I can't tell you about it because it's a government project, and there's some things that I can't discuss with work. But I've been taking some of my work home with me to continue my research.
Okay. And Casey, why is it okay, I'm sorry. You said that Jordan said before that the way you've been you you've been watching him and not directly confronting him may have caused this problem to grow into something that
I tried to confront him. I've called him before, and he's never returned my calls. I've left him voicemails, and I've never heard back from him.
Okay. And Jordan, can you respond?
I texted back that I said, "What's up?" and you never gave me a response.
You never text me.
I texted you. I said, "What's up?"
I never got a text.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me right now like the problem might be a communication issue between the two of you. So what I'd like to do at this point is actually separate the two of you. We'll have a brief break for both of you, and we'll have a private caucus. Anything that you say to me will not be revealed to the other party. I want to make that clear, unless you give me permission for it to be revealed. And we're going to do that. It'll take a couple minutes for each of you, and you can disclose any information that you haven't yet. And then we'll come back and we'll convene together, and we'll try to open a more direct path of communication for both of you. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Jordan, can you come on in then? Okay, thanks for meeting with me. This shouldn't take more than a few minutes, and really I'd like to hear from you anything that you didn't feel comfortable saying in front of Casey, any details that you left out. Casey can't hear what we're saying right now, and again, I won't repeat anything that you've said to me. I won't repeat any of it to Casey without your permission. So is there anything you haven't told me or you haven't disclosed that you think would be useful?
Well, this can't be used in court of law, right?
Right.
Okay. The work I'm doing at the house is research on root development in certain plants, and I'm not allowed to talk about it with anyone because it's has potential for commercial use. So it has to go through all these research trials to get to a certain point before it can be released.
Okay.
So I'm taking a lot of it back with me to the house to work on, just get some extra samples, do what I can so to make my job easier. It's not like I hate my job, but I love what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to get better results from my work. And oh yeah, since it's winter's coming up, I can't move the plants at this point without just throwing away all the work I just did over the last couple of weeks. The accusations of marijuana are just completely false. I'm studying root systems of prairie grass, not marijuana.
Okay. Okay, and it sounds to me like possibly the problem that Casey is having with what's been going on is that he feels you've been disrespectful to the property. Not necessarily completely with the marijuana, but we also the marijuana accusation. But we also discussed the loud partying, the lawn maintenance. Do you feel like there is any truth to what Casey's been saying?
I could see how it would be. I don't think it justifies his snooping around or anything like that. I can see it's just, I guess, a disconnect. He's an older guy.
Okay.
I'm in my mid-20s. Like I still want to have fun, but also I'm really invested in my research at the same time. So,
and you said Casey. I mean, Casey is an older man, and it might be like you said, there might be a disconnect there. And do you think that there could be a way that the two of you could get everything out that you need to in the open while we're here, instead of continuing to communicate or have a lack of communication that you've been having up until now?
Honestly, I would do anything that I can within my power to stay in this house because I can't afford anything else in the Naperville area. It's too expensive.
Okay.
If it means no more party, I will do anything to keep this situation.
Okay.
And the last thing I need is Casey calling the cops on me or getting the landlord involved, and then I'm out on the streets. Everything's gone, my job, my house, like I have nowhere to go, and I pretty much have to start from square one somewhere else.
Okay. What do you feel could be a common ground that the two of you could reach? What could be a solution that you feel would be reasonable for both you and Casey? Because it sounds like you do, you have acknowledged that there may have been loud noises and perhaps some problems with the lawn that may have bothered Casey based on what how Casey felt about the former landlord and his property there. Do you feel like there is any way the two of you could reach or I guess a better way to word that, what do you feel is the way the two of you could reach a solution that would be reasonable for both of you?
I honestly just want to, whatever I need to do to stay at this house, if it's no parties, that's fine. I'd like to be on better terms with Casey just for that fact. An apology for snooping around is really what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And, the reassurance that he's not trying to get me kicked out of this house.
Okay.
Because I'm not doing anything illegal. All the kids that might be underage, I don't know if they're college students, but, it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal. The people I'm inviting are in their late 20s, they're my age, they're my classmates.
Okay.
So.
And just to clarify, you said it sounds like the most important thing for you is to be able to stay in the house right now. So would it be reasonable to assert that you would be willing to either reduce the partying or eliminate it altogether to stay in the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
But at the same time, I need Casey to be cool with it.
Okay.
Like, I can cut down the partying, I can do a little more yard work, but if he's still gonna call the cops just because he's out to get me, what's the use?
Okay. Okay. And okay, yeah. What is okay for me to tell Casey that you've just told me now?
You can tell me anything except for what I'm researching.
Okay, the government research part. Okay. Okay. Great, thank you, Jordan. And yeah, if you could step out in the hall for a few minutes here.
I heard what you were doing. I don't care.
Okay, Casey. Okay, well, first of all, Casey, thank you again for staying throughout the entire mediation process. I appreciate that. And I just spoke with Jordan, and he gave me some information that he hadn't necessarily been completely clear with before, and some of that I can share with you. And I'd like to do that. But first, I would like to hear from you. Well, what is the problem here? What can you clearly define for me what you want from Jordan?
I mean, I think my main issue is just that, the underage kids that he's having at his house. I mean, that's, I, as a neighbor, I don't know what my, not only a neighbor, but also, an employee of the school. I don't know what my responsibility is there. I mean, I know it's obviously a dangerous situation for the students, so, am I supposed to go in and talk to the kids, or do I, tell the kids to go home?
Okay.
Or do I call the cops? I don't know what the best option is for me.
Okay. And do you feel that the way you've approached it up to this point, it sounds like you were on Jordan's property, and you acknowledged that you had been looking into his house and his windows. Do you feel that that's been a constructive way to approach it up to this point?
I mean, obviously, I know it's not the best option, but I mean, I tried calling him, I tried reaching out to him. I mean, obviously, I don't want to have to get the cops involved, so that's why,
Okay.
I was, just looking around to make sure everything's safe.
Okay. And you had mentioned before that you had a relationship or a friendship with the former neighbor, Tom, who is now leasing the land. Do you feel like that the general, I think you described it as disrespect that you've been seeing on the property, both through the yard work and the partying, do you feel like that is that the main issue here?
I mean, yeah, I do think it's very disrespectful. Tom and I had a really good relationship, and I don't like to see. I know he works so hard on his yard and his garden, and I hate to see it being treated the way it's being treated now.
Okay. And I spoke with Jordan, obviously before you, and he essentially outlined to me that he's willing to either cut back the partying or cut it out altogether. He wants to have a friendly relationship with you. He doesn't want there to be this conflict. And his main point, what he wants from you, he wants two things from you. He wants you to the way he said it was respect his personal boundaries, the boundaries of his home. And he'd be willing to cut out the partying if you're willing to do that. And he would also like an apology for the way you've been communicating with him up to this point, which is going on his property. He would like an apology for that. What is it that you want from him?
Well,
And could you respond to what he wants?
I mean, well, first of all, like what I want is he doesn't necessarily need to cut out the partying. It's just that he needs to make sure that he's not letting underage kids into the party.
Sure.
And also he definitely needs to get rid of the marijuana plants, just because it's illegal.
Okay.
As far as what he said, what was it again? He said he wanted to.
He would like it. He would like an apology as well.
I mean, I guess I could apologize, but it's I want him to do those things as well. I don't think he deserves an apology yet.
Okay. So is it fair to say that if he is willing to do the things that you ask, that you would be willing to give an apology at that point?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And during my conversation with Jordan, he said that essentially the marijuana plants, the alleged marijuana plants, he is claiming that they are not that it is nothing legal. It sounds like the main problem for you is the underage kids that are getting involved, and obviously the noise from the party and the general disrespect. He believes he is saying that the plants that are in his yard are for, like he said, they are for a government operation, and he needs to continue growing those on his property. He would be willing to cut back on the partying to make sure, I can talk with him about making sure that none of the underage kids are coming to the party like you had said before, but he would like to keep the plants. Is that something you could live with as his neighbor?
I mean, I guess if he's, I guess I could kind of see how he's using them for work, so I guess that would be fair.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for meeting with me again, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have you step out in the hall again, and we're going to come back and meet together, all three of us.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so Casey, Jordan, if both of you could come in. Okay, so after having conversations with both of you, closed caucuses. Okay, Jordan, Casey, if both of you could come in now, that would be great. Okay, after meeting with both of you individually, I think that we found some common ground that we can agree on here to move things forward and form a more positive relationship. I think both of you can get what you want out of this, what you need out of this, and I think it seems like the main problem that I've noticed throughout this is lack of communication. That seems to be the root that's been coming up over and over again. And I think the important thing to do here is to make a clear outline of what both of you want. Jordan, you talked about how you feel that your privacy has in some way been violated because Casey has been stepping on your property, and you feel that Casey has been kind of crossing the boundary there. And what I understand that you want is for more respect. You want an apology from Casey, and which Casey has agreed to give an apology, and yeah, we can move forward with that. And Casey, your main problem with what's been going on, what you communicated to me, is that there have been underage kids at the house, and during these parties, and Jordan has agreed to put a stop to this, to put a stop to the partying, in order to have a more a healthier relationship with you and him. He doesn't want he wants the snooping to stop, and he really just wants his the boundaries of his property to be more defined. And I think that's the main root of the problem here. So if both of you have, unless either one of you has an objection, we can go ahead and draw up an agreement here. Does either one of you have something you'd like to add that we didn't discuss in our closed mediation?
Well,
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he has to take better care of the lawn. I mean, he's completely.
I already take care of it, okay?
You're not
You were
taking care
so
of it.
anal
Hold on,
about
hold
this.
on.
I
I
just
worked
don't
so hard
understand
for it, and you're not
why
doing
you have
anything.
to be such a jerk.
Okay. First, Jordan, please let Casey finish. We did agree when we came into this that we would allow the other person to finish talking, and we also agreed that there would be no name calling or anything of that sort, because I think all three of us can agree that isn't constructive to solving the problem. So, Casey, can you please finish what you were saying?
I mean, Tom works so hard on his yard, and Tom's doing him a favor. Tom's doing you a favor. He's, letting you stay there for cheaper just to take care of the lawn, and you're not doing that at all. That's just disrespectful.
You're getting all butthurt over just some leaves that get blown over. I mow, I clean up the boxes in the garden. I'm going to fix that, but
You're going to. When are you going to do it?
It's
Okay, hold
winter.
on.
Nothing's gonna grow. Why fix
Okay,
it now?
guys. First of all, Casey, I'm also going to have to ask that you don't interrupt Jordan when Jordan's talking. We had agreed coming into here that we would allow the other person to keep an open line of communication and to finish what they're saying before we interject anything.
Okay.
So, Jordan, please finish what you were saying.
All I'm saying is, you got to loosen up a little, man. You're creeping around the house like I'm doing something illegal. I can understand the underage thing because some of those girls do look younger. I try to verify age, but I'm only human. I make mistakes. But you gotta stay away from my house, or this house, because it's so creepy. Are you taking pictures of me? Are you taking pictures? I don't know what you're doing with these pictures, and it's really bothering me.
Okay, it sounds like we may not have communicated everything that we needed to during our last individual meeting. So what I'm going to do now is first we're going to have a 5-minute break, and after we take a break to cool down, because it seems like tensions are high, there's been some name calling and swearing and some accusations and interrupting. I think that it would be beneficial for both of us to take a break. We can get a snack, get a drink, whatever you need, and then we'll have 2 more individual conferences, and then we'll come back and meet together and try to see if we can come up with a resolution. Okay. Okay. Jordan, can you please come back in? Okay. Thank you for meeting with me again. It sounded like there was some unresolved disputes there that we hadn't talked about before, and it sounds like the main issue is with the lawn. But Casey said that essentially it's that he feels that the property is being disrespected because he had a close relationship with the former owner Tom, and he feels that that's been violated by how you've been managing the lawn. Is there something specifically with the lawn that we can agree to that might create a solution that both of you can agree upon?
I just don't know where the whole beef is with the taking pictures in the house and just being on my property. Like it'd be one thing if he was like taking pictures of the yard, but he's snooping around the windows. Like, it makes me think that the whole yard argument, because I think I've been doing a good job with it. I think this whole lawn argument is just kind of a front from him, just so he can like creep on me.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've seen in a number of mediations kind of a generational disconnect where the problem is the root of the problem is miscommunication between two generations. Casey, obviously, as an older man, he may feel that he has more right to the property than you feel he has, and that's understandable. Is there one possible solution for this that I've seen work before is to bring in a third party and sort of put the responsibility on them. Now, Casey brought up that you are getting a better deal on the lease because they're taking care of the lawn. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be? Do you feel it would be beneficial to bring in a lawn care company as a gesture of good faith? You feel that the lawn has been maintained fairly well, but you said there might be some work that could be done to it. To bring in a lawn care company maybe once every 2 weeks, whatever you feel is appropriate, simply as a gesture of good faith. It would be less work for you. You would still get a better deal on the lease, like you said. The lawn would look better, and it might be enough to satisfy Casey that you're taking steps to gain his respect. Do you feel like hiring a third party like a lawn care company might be something that could form an agreement between you and Casey, and just as a sign of respect?
If it is just the yard that's the problem, I would be totally fine.
Okay.
It would just another $50 or so, whatever it would cost. It would help save the money. At the same time, I'd be spending the money to save the money essentially.
Sure.
Which would be great, but I don't know if that will stop him from creeping around the house.
Okay.
Taking pictures and kind of just snooping into my personal space. That's what really bothers me.
Okay. So it's essentially you feel that your area, your land, your space has been violated, and that okay. And you, like you said, just to clarify, you are willing to pay for a third party to come in and do some maintenance on the lawn as a sign of goodwill.
Yes, within reasonable cost.
Within reasonable cost. Okay, great. And I can, and again, none of anything that you've told me needs to be disclosed to Casey necessarily. Is it okay if I tell Casey the solution, the potential solution that we gathered here, which might be bringing a third party in as a sign of respect? Is that okay if I disclose that to Casey?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, and is it okay if I disclose that you'd be willing to pay, like you said, as long as it would be a reasonable price, which we can establish later on?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you, Jordan, and I'll meet with Casey next. Okay, Casey, come on in. So I just had another meeting with Jordan, and we had a lot of good dialogue going, and I feel that we may have found another potential solution that might satisfy both of you. Before we hit on that, you had brought up a point that we hadn't necessarily discussed before, which was the general yard care and how you felt that the way it's been maintained has sort of disrespected a long-standing relationship that you had with the former owner, Tom. Could you tell me what is the root of the problem here? Can you describe that further?
I mean, you basically said it.
Okay.
Tom was a good friend of mine, and he loved his yard. He loved, working on it, and he took a lot of pride in that. And the fact that, he's going to come back and all that hard work is just going to be, for nothing, because he's going to have to start all over.
Okay.
He's going to have to completely, redo his garden.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's just very disrespectful.
Okay. And that is essentially what Jordan and I had communicated. That was what we understood the problem was. We came up with a potential solution to this. Jordan, as a sign of good faith, would like to bring in a third party to possibly resolve the conflict, show some respect. He believes that hiring a lawn care company to maintain the lawn, to sort of uphold the standard that it sounds Tom had before he left within the neighborhood. He would bring in the lawn care company on a consistent basis. We haven't established the details necessarily yet. He said as long as it's within a reasonable price. And in return, with him upkeeping the lawn by hiring a lawn care company, he would like you to agree to stay out of the bounds of his property. And this is in addition to the agreements we had established before about an end to the partying. And so yeah, the next step would be to bring in a lawn care company. Do you feel that that would satisfy what you're looking for?
I mean, I think if he does that, in addition to putting an end to the underage drinking,
Okay.
I think that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want.
Okay. And as long as that's done, are you willing to apologize to Jordan
Yes,
at
I
this
would.
point? Okay. Okay. And I guess the only thing we need to talk about is the specifics of the lawn care. How often do you feel would be reasonable, given that Casey does not have a great, that Jordan doesn't have a great income right now? What do you feel would be reasonable?
Well, I mean, it's like I'm not that picky about it. It's just
Okay.
that it has to look decent. He can't completely let everything go, and he's got to take some kind of care. So I mean, whether that's once a week or once a month, I mean, it just
Okay.
depends on how long you can keep it, how long it can go without looking bad.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you again for meeting with me, Casey, individually.
Mhm.
And what I'm going to do now is I'll have Jordan come back into the room, and then the three of us can draft a resolution to this. Is there anything that you said here that you would not like me to disclose?
I don't think so.
Okay. And are there any other issues that you'd like to bring up at this point before we all come together to draft a solution?
I mean, I think that's it. I think that's basically just what I want.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, Casey, Jordan, please come in. Okay, when we started this mediation process, we set out the goal of finding a mutually beneficial solution, and I think early on we arrived at the conclusion that solution involves both a higher degree of respect, better display of respect, and I think that really comes through with communication. So I think after meeting again and resolving some of the issues that we had before, I think we can come to an agreement here that will satisfy both parties. And what I'm going to do now is help both of you draft an agreement with some objective goals that both of you can agree to meet in order to, like I said, establish better communication and better respect. And at the end of that, I'll give both of you an opportunity to make a closing statement to sort of keep that dialogue open. And the first issue that I'd like to bring up again is the communication issue. Now, Casey, you had brought up before that you hadn't seen the text that Jordan says he sent. I've seen issues like this before with generational gap. The two of you may have different expectations for what a sort of a balanced means of communication may be. And I think both of you, since both of you have phones, both of you are using phones, could we agree that we'll communicate not through text, but by calling? Is that something that both of us can agree, that both of you can agree on?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it should be equal. I mean, I'll do a better job of picking up my phone if you call, but at the same time, I texting is a lot more convenient, especially I'm at work. I feel like there has to be some sort of a medium between that.
Okay.
Like I don't have a problem with calling, but if I feel like texting is the only way I can get an urgent message across, then I feel like that shouldn't be, thrown outside the grounds of this rule that we're making up.
Okay, Casey, are you able to? Are you comfortable with communicating through text?
I mean, sometimes I guess, but I mean, if I give you a call and leave you a voicemail, you should listen to that. And when you have a chance, it doesn't have to be right away, but when you get a chance, you should call me back.
Okay, well, it sounds like there really isn't as much of an issue here as I had thought there was. It sounds like both of you want the same thing. You want there to be a balanced communication. You want to hear back from the other person. So this doesn't necessarily need to be in the written agreement, but can both of you agree now, just verbally, that whether it's text, voicemail, calling, whatever means of communication through the cell phones, like you've been using, that when you see them, you will make an effort to respond? Can we both agree on that?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I think that's an important step to communication, is establishing the balance by which you can communicate. And okay, now I'd like to get into some of the more objective things that we had agreed on. The first that we had discussed is that Jordan, you had mentioned you'd like an apology from Casey, and you had said that was okay if I mentioned that to Casey. And Casey, you had agreed that if some concessions were made that you felt showed greater respect, that you would give an apology now to Jordan. And we're actually going to do that one last, because I'd like to outline what some of those concessions are. So first we'll go through those. Casey, one of the issues that you had discussed is the upkeep of the lawn. You feel that it's disrespectful. You feel that it isn't upholding the standard that you had with the previous owner, Tom, who you had a good relationship with. And one of the things that Jordan and I discussed is that as a sign of respect, Jordan would like to hire a third party, an outside lawn care company, to maintain the lawn. And Casey, you had said that you think that would be a sign of respect, and that would lead to you, like Jordan had asked, to better respect Jordan's property lines. And Casey, what I would like to do now is outline the specifics of that. You had mentioned that you felt that whether it's a weekly basis or a monthly basis, as long as the yard is upkept by the company, then you would feel that that's a great sign of respect. Jordan, within the bounds that Casey outlined, one weekly to monthly, what do you feel you need the lawn care company? How often do you feel they need to come to keep the property in the type of condition that we discussed?
I could, if it's $100 a month for them to come by once a week just to mow and rake, that's fine, as long as it meets his, what he thinks the yard should be like. Because again, I think it's fine, but just as a sign of respect and everything that goes along with that, as long as it's up to your standards and they're taking care of it and we're on good terms, that's all that matters.
Okay. And Casey does once a week, as long as it's meeting your standards that you have. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not unreasonable, and it's not my standards. This is what Tom would want. I mean,
okay.
Ultimately, I want to do. I want to make sure that while he's gone, his house is in good hands. So yeah, I mean, once a week is plenty. I mean, that's definitely what I want.
Okay, and another thing that I put down in writing here is that if Casey, you feel like the standards aren't being met, that you will communicate that to Jordan by whether it's text or voicemail, that you would communicate that, and then that Jordan, like we discussed before, that you would respond to whatever information Casey sent you. So I just outlined that in here to clarify the communication to communicate what the standard is that you'd like it to be kept to, which you said is the standard with which Tom kept it previously. And so I'll have both of you sign the agreement that I've laid out here in a minute. And as long as you're comfortable with it, I'd like you to read through it first and then sign it. And another issue that we discussed beyond the apology and the yard is the issue of partying, and then the issue of boundaries. And first, I'd like to outline the issue of underage partying that we had discussed before. Casey, you said that the problem that you had most with the partying was not the noise level; it was with the underage, who you believe were underage students that were showing up to these parties. And what I've outlined here in writing is that Jordan, you would not have underage people at your house while there is any form of drinking happening. And is that something that satisfies both of you?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can cart at the door.
Okay. And Casey, as long as they're carting at the door, is it okay?
I mean, as long as you're monitoring it, like, you know, I have no problem with the partying. I mean, I completely understand.
Okay. And as with the lawn care that we had discussed, I also outlined here the means by which we communicate, which is essentially over the phone, voicemail, and text, and that the two of you agree to respond when you see the voicemail or text. And as long as you're monitoring, Jordan, the underage, whether or not there are underage people there, and making sure that underage people are not at the parties consuming alcohol, then Casey, we can move on to the issue of boundaries, which is where, Jordan, you felt uncomfortable because you felt that Casey was violating your personal space. You would like Casey, you said in our closed meeting that you would like Casey to stay off your property, and that would satisfy you. That's essentially why you're here, is to establish your boundaries and maintain your property. And Casey, in our meeting, you agreed that as long as the issue with the lawn care and the underage partying, as long as those issues are addressed, that you would respect Jordan's personal space by not entering his property when you're uninvited. I have that outlined here in writing. Can we also move forward with this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and Jordan, does that satisfy what you're looking for? Okay, great. And as with the other two issues that I discussed, I've outlined here the communication issue, which is where if essentially with all three of these, if either one of you is having a problem with that, you won't first go to a third party. You'll first go directly to the other person by calling them or texting them on your cell phone, and then the other party will respond when they see that they've been communicated with. And I've outlined all of this in writing here. So I'd like the two of you to take time to please read through the agreement before you sign this. And by signing this, you're agreeing to follow the boundaries we've laid out here in this report. And it sounds like this satisfies the issues of communication and respect that we discussed before. And after you've read through and either signed or not signed this, then we can discuss beyond that if there's anything else that we need. Okay.
Does it matter which line I sign on?
You're on the right line there.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, and after going through the agreement, we've laid out some objective guidelines, and we've laid out 3 objective guidelines. And Casey, there's something else that we had discussed, that once these objectives are outlined, that you would issue an apology to Jordan. Could we do this now if you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not an unreasonable person, and based on this, you're obviously not an unreasonable person too. I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't get along. So I do apologize. I'm sorry for going onto your property and taking pictures.
I accept.
Okay, and I think that the way I see it is that we've reached what we wanted to today. We've established a line of communication and a line of respect, and I think this will continue to strengthen, at least maintain a level of friendly atmosphere that you had described for Jordan that you wanted, and Casey, as you also wanted, as you had with your neighbor Tom before. And I'm going to send both of you copies of the agreement that we signed here. And is there anything else either of you would like to add?
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a good relationship with my neighbor Tom. I don't think there's any reason we can't have a relationship like that.
Okay, well, thank you both for participating. A good agreement here and a good means to communicate. And I like to always end my mediations with a handshake. So if the two of you are satisfied with your agreement, could we please shake hands? Okay, great. Thank you both for participating. Thank you for sticking to the guidelines that we had laid out at the beginning, and I hope both of you are satisfied with the result.